Hello my friends, it's Laura. Welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be doing a book haul, all of the books I bought in February. I know February isn't quite over, but I hope to God I'm not going to buy any more books before the end of the month. Before we get into the book haul, a quick note. In my TBR, I promised that I was going to do a Valentine's Day reading vlog, reading romances. It was going to go up on Valentine's Day. Obviously that didn't happen. I haven't posted a video in 2 weeks. I apparently needed a break from YouTube and like a mindset shift. I'm not gonna get into it here because I don't want to sound whiny, but I just needed a break. So I didn't post that video. I also promised a House of Flame and Shadow reading vlog and I didn't get to it. Let me explain to you why. Because I started reading House of Flame and Shadow. I started filming that vlog. And then I realized I had no idea what was actually going on in the book. And I was like, you know what? I need to watch a recap. So I looked on YouTube. I watched a recap video of the second book, House of Sky and Breath. Had no idea what was going on. I was so confused to the point where I was questioning my reality. I was like, did I actually read this book? Like, I know I did, but did I? Because I just could not remember anything going on. So I'm like, you know what? I need to reread the entire series. So I started doing that. I've actually reread House of Earth and Blood already, and I'm going to continue with that into March. So in March, you should get a Crescent City House of Flame and Shadow type vlog, or it'll just be in a regular weekly vlog in March. So I'm sorry, but like I realize now that I wanted to like capitalize on the excitement of the new release of the book instead of doing what I always do, which is rereading books before the next book in the series comes out. That's something that I almost always do without question. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's still coming. If you want my thoughts on that book, it will come, but it had to get postponed, unfortunately. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Like, so sorry. I need to stop promising things. I'm just gonna film things when I want to film things and put them up. But I'm gonna stop promising to film things because then it becomes like a thing that I have to do and I get stressed out. So we're not gonna do that anymore. Let's get into the book haul because it's kind of ridiculous. I bought a lot of books in February. Mentioned in my last book haul that I'm gonna start with books that I have out from the library. So these are books that you should have already seen because I think I talked about these in my TBR, my February TBR. Something to Talk About by Meryl Wilsner and Kiss the Girl by Zoraida Cordova, because I wanted to read a bunch of romance this month. I did read a good number of romances so far, but I didn't get around to these. I don't know if I will. They're not due back until March, so maybe I'll have time at some point, maybe in the beginning of the month, to get around to reading them, but I haven't yet. So those are that. And then I discovered something amazing. My library, you can go online and request a book and they will send it to your door. And I did that. And I knew that this was a thing, but it never worked for me because every time I went on the library's website, it was just so hard to navigate. I think they recently updated the website because now things are very easy to navigate and it's easy to request books, and have them sent right to my door. Libraries are amazing. If you guys aren't supporting your library, do it. So this came right to my door. This is Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands by Heather Fawcett. This is the second book in the Emily Wilde series. I enjoyed, if you saw my January wrap up, you'll know I did read the first book in January, and I thought the first 2/3 of it was fine. The last third of the book, amazing. Like, I loved it. I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I was very intrigued and wanted to continue, but I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, obviously, so I didn't want to go out and buy a copy, and I got this, and I'm very excited to give it a read. I think I'm going to read it probably before the end of February. Hopefully I enjoy it better than the first book. Okay, and then I made some digital purchases, only 2 ebooks. I, like with most of my digital purchases, bought these on a whim. I have to stop doing that because while they don't take up any physical space, they are still books that I'm adding to my TBR, you know what I mean? So I need to get around to, I need to stop like impulsively buying ebooks. Anyway, I only bought 2. The first one was actually free. It's called Cupcakes, Trinkets, and Other Deadly Magic by Megan Sienna Doge. I can put up a picture. Let me move over. This just looks, I didn't even look at the synopsis. I saw the cover, I saw the title, and I thought, this is cozy fantasy, maybe with a little bit of mystery. That's what I thought. Because, I mean, it was free. It was free on Kindle, so why not, right? Again, didn't read the synopsis. Don't know if this is actually a cozy fantasy, mystery, whatever. But if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's a cozy fantasy. And then I also got A Wolf in the Garden by Allegra Hall. I don't remember, it might have been Hannah Blackwell that I heard talking about this book, and it sounded interesting when she was talking about it. Set in New Zealand, I believe, and I just saw the cover. The cover looks so cute, and I was like, I'll buy that. Sure. It was only $5 for the ebook, so I bought that. It's a romantasy. That's literally all I know. Okay, those were my ebooks. Now let's get into all of the physical books that I bought or received, of which there are many. So, a couple of anticipated releases. Obviously, I picked up House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. Picked it up the day it came out, ran to the bookstore, and you know how that went. But I am very excited to give it. My bookmark is still in here. This is how far I got into the book. What is that? 270 pages. I read 270 pages before I gave up and just decided I needed to reread because, like, I was enjoying it, but I found myself like having to look up, there's like a Crescent City wiki, and so I was looking up characters. I'm like, who is this person again? Wait, how did they die? They died? Like, that's what I realized when after every chapter I had to look on the wiki. I was like, it's best if I just reread. That's the better thing to do. But I have it. It's beautiful. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, which has a bonus story, I believe. And I think this one has, I think it's just the Bryson Hunt bonus story, I guess. But the cover is beautiful. End pages are beautiful. Oh my gosh. Love that. I think they're the same on the back. And it has the little crescent on the cover. Beautiful book, very large book. Like, this is a weapon. And then I picked up A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faizal. This is, wow, it's really washed out on camera. But this is my second most anticipated book of the year. My first one obviously being Wind and Truth by Sanderson. But I have been waiting years for this. I've been waiting years, and it is finally here in my hands, and I immediately started reading it. I am 58 pages in, and I'm planning on finishing it today. Like, literally after I finish filming, I'm probably gonna go read. Hafsa Faizal wrote the Sands of Arawiya duology, the first book being We Hunt the Flame. Loved that series so much. Loved her character work. This is a heist, a YA heist fantasy novel with vampires. All you need to know. This is, did I say this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive cover? Really, really pretty. I love what they did with the colors here. And the end pages are really, really beautiful. They look like this. And the naked hardcover has the little signpost of the Spindrift, which is the name of the tea house that Arthi runs, Arthi, our main character. So, got that. Very excited to continue reading it. And then I picked up Bride, which came out, it came out on the 6th, I think. And I, again, immediately went to the bookstore, picked up a copy, read it, fell in love. I cannot wait to talk about this book in my wrap up because this is Ali Hazelwood's best book. Okay? It is. It's so good. But this is a paranormal romance where we have a world where there are vampires, werewolves, and humans, and our main character, Misery, is a vampire who gets set up in this arranged marriage for political reasons to a werewolf. And it is slow burn. It is hilarious. Misery is one of the best characters, is not one of, the best character that Ali Hazelwood has ever written. This was amazing. This was amazing. So, highly recommend. I know a lot of people are reading it and absolutely loving it already, but if you haven't picked it up yet, do so because it's so good. Speaking of Ali Hazelwood, I also picked up Check and Mate, which is one that I wasn't planning on reading, but after reading Bride and absolutely falling back in love with Ali Hazelwood's writing, I was like, okay, yeah, Ali Hazelwood is definitely once again an auto-buy author for me. And now that I am back on my YA loving game, is that the word I wanted to use? I don't know. Now that I'm enjoying YA again, I think I definitely can enjoy this one. I recently saw Erin from Booked and Busy talk about this and how this, in her opinion, is Ali Hazelwood's best book yet. And I'm like, okay, we'll see how it stands up to Bride, but I am very excited to read it. We are following Mallory Greenleaf, who is, or was a chess prodigy, I guess, but she has stopped playing because it led to the destruction of her family 4 years earlier. But then she gets roped into playing a charity tournament and she ends up beating the notorious world champion and reigning bad boy of chess. And so I guess the story goes from there. I'm excited. I am once again in love with Ali Hazelwood and her books and her writing. So I hope that I'll really enjoy this one. I hear nothing but good things about Check and Mate, so I'm excited to give it a read. I think the cover is absolutely adorable, and this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I have no idea what's exclusive about it. Is there like a bonus story? Oh, there's a bonus essay. Okay, that is perhaps about chess. I am not interested in chess. That's another reason why I didn't want to pick this up. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy all the chess parts of this, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, another anticipated release that I am tentatively excited about is The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. Catherine Arden is the author of the Winter Night trilogy, The Bear and the Nightingale, and I am iffy about this because it's a war story. It's set during World War I, and if you don't know, I hate war stories. I really do, unless it's a fantasy war in a fantasy world. I'm not into World War I, World War II type books, but I do know that this has a speculative element, so it's not just historical. So hopefully I will enjoy it. I really do trust Catherine Arden and her writing, so again, hoping to enjoy it. It says, during the Great War, a combat nurse searches for her brother, believed dead in the trenches despite eerie signs that suggest otherwise, in this hauntingly beautiful historical novel with a speculative twist. So that's all I know, not looking into the synopsis too much, but I am excited to try this out. And thanks to Kristen from Kristen Craves Books, realized that January Lavoie is one of the narrators on this, so I'm definitely going to be listening to the audiobook because January Lavoie is one of my favorite audiobook narrators ever. Originally, I did not love this cover, but it's actually grown on me. It's kind of haunting, and I think that is the point. I won another Goodreads giveaway. I'm telling you, you guys, you need to enter these Goodreads giveaways. I swear, I win at least a couple times a year, every year. So I won Relit 16 Latinx remixes of classic stories, edited by Sandra Proudman. This has a story in it by Zoraida Cordova, who is one of my favorite authors, so I was very excited by that. But this is YA, and it's reimagined classics as sci-fi or fantasy stories that feature people of color and queer characters as well. So that sounded like a lot of fun. I think this might be one that I read in the summertime. This arc is so floppy. I just love it. But anyway, very excited to give this a read. This comes out, this is already out. It came out February 6th. And then I was so kindly sent by Orbit The Hemlock Queen by Hannah Whitten, which is the second book, The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. Now, have I read The Foxglove King? No. No, I have not. But I am very excited to give it a read, especially now that I have the sequel ready at hand. I don't know if this is like supposed to be a trilogy, or I literally know nothing, but I've got the second book, I've got the first book. I'm excited to give this a read. I have really been enjoying fantasy romance, and I think that's what this is. When Lore was 13, she escaped a cult in the catacombs beneath the city of Delaire, and in the 10 years since, she's lived by one rule: don't let them find you. Easier said than done when her magic ties her to the city. Mortem is a magic born from death, and it's a high-priced and illicit commodity in Delaire. What is it, like necromancy? Is there necromancy in this? Okay, I'm excited. So hopefully I will get to this soon. The Hemlock Queen comes out in April, so maybe I will give this a read in April. But again, thank you to Orbit for sending me this copy. Okay, another anticipated release is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This was actually sitting out on the shelves early, and I picked it up and I was like, ha, I could read it early, and I didn't. I didn't get to it, but I am so excited for it. So this is the Carmilla retelling by S.T. Gibson. We've got vampires, we've got dark academia. I'm probably gonna get to it in March. I just realized that this is blurbed by Sydney J. Shields, who is, as far as I know, a debut author of The Honey Witch, which comes out soon. I'm very excited about that. I actually requested a copy from Orbit, so hopefully I get it. But so happy to have this. I love this cover. It looks so different in person than I thought it was going to based on pictures. I finally picked up a copy of Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Shauna McGuire. Did I already haul this? No, I didn't, because I didn't get it until like the end of January. Anyway, it was a whole thing getting this book, because like apparently they weren't being stocked at my local Barnes, which I was very upset about, but here we have it. I finally got my copy. I'm very excited to have it. This is it the 9th book now in the Wayward Children series, and I think we're going to a dinosaur world in this one, so that has me excited. I can't believe I haven't read this yet, because this is the first year in I don't even know how many years I have not read a Wayward Children series book in January. And I kind of feel really bad about that, but I'm hoping to get to it in March, if not before then, if I can. And then my last, I guess, anticipated release was The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. This is another one that I had an arc of that I was so excited to read that I didn't get around to reading. Now it is out in the world, and I feel really bad not having picked it up yet. But I love this. So this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. It has bonus content in it, I believe, but the book itself is so pretty. First of all, it's printed on the hardcover. There's no dust jacket. Has these beautiful blush pink edges, if you can see that, and I just am obsessed with this cover. But this is from the author of House of Hollow, which is a book that I really loved when I read it. This is another witchy, feminist, dark fantasy story. Another one that I really need to get to as soon as possible. Again, hopefully in March. I'm like putting off so many things until the month of March. Definitely won't get to all of them, but I hope I get to this one for sure, because I'm very excited about it. Okay, I also picked up this arc from work. This is Infinity Alchemist by Case and Calendar. This one comes out sometime in February, but this is Case and Calendar's YA fantasy debut, I'm pretty sure. I have read and enjoyed books from Case and Calendar in the past, so I'm very excited to give this one a try. I've heard pretty decent things about it so far. I believe that we have like a school setting in here. Yes, the Lancaster College of Alchemic Science, and I'm always really intrigued when it comes to alchemy as a form of magic in fantasy, because I feel like we don't see that as much as other kinds of magic. So I'm excited to give this one a read. It says that it features trans, queer, and polyamorous characters of color, so that's exciting. Aidan Thomas says that it is a spellbinding, fast-paced, and deeply romantic fantasy. Interesting. Okay, I just got a tiny bit more excited about this, so I'm very happy to have this on my shelf. Hopefully it'll be one that I get to soon. Like all of these. Okay, I did take a trip to my local used bookstore and I picked up a ton of books from there. I did this over several trips, but Bright Light Books, if you don't know, I love them. I always shout them out. They're great, although lately I feel like I have been getting less money for for the books that I sell there, which makes a kind of sense. They are like really booming at that location. I like to think that part of it is because of me, because I'm constantly talking about them and shouting them out and telling people about them. I love the bookstore. They always have great deals. Most of their books are priced at about 50% off the full price of the book, and they have a lot of special editions that are reasonably priced. Some of them are a little crazy, but most of them are reasonably priced. So I did some damage at the used bookstore. Some of these I had store credit for, so it wasn't a huge deal, but I picked up The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd Jones. I really enjoy Emily Lloyd Jones. I feel like she's a little bit underrated, but her book, The Bone Houses, is still a book to this day that I think about because it's so atmospheric. It was so interesting. It's kind of like this fantasy zombies but with magic, and it's just really atmospheric and really good. And this takes place in the same world, and she's coming out with a new book this year that also takes place in the same world. They're all connected, so I definitely recommend starting with The Bone Houses. But this is the Owl Crate edition of the book, which I found at the used bookstore, so that was nice. It's very beautiful. Look at these end pages. There's the front, and the back is the same. We've got this beautiful design on the naked hardcover, and on the back of the hardcover, which is really nice. And we have very beautiful under the dust jacket art. So yeah, I'm excited to give this one a read in preparation for her new book that comes out this year. And they're just really good. I really enjoy her writing and her stories. So I got that. I picked up Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly in my need for more romances on my shelf. I buy romances and then I read them so quickly because romances go by so fast. You know what I mean? You can read them all in one sitting. They're just like such quick reads. Like I buy romances and then I immediately read them and then I'm like, like 2 weeks later I really need a romance. So I'm trying to stock up on romances when I see them, and this is one that seemed interesting to me. I especially love queer romances, and in this one we have a woman and a non-binary character, and I believe that this takes place during a like cooking competition. Yes, a cooking show called Chef's Special. That sounded fun. That sounded fun to me. So I picked it up. We'll see how I like it. Excited to read that one. I just need to like have romances stocked on my shelves at all time. And then I also picked up Set on You by Amy Leah, I guess, or Lee. This interested me because it's the first book in a romance series, and like it's all about influencers, like different influencers. So in this one we're following a fitness influencer, but I believe it's the second book where we're following like a book influencer. So that excited me. I definitely want to see how that goes and how that's portrayed in a romance, but I wanted to start with the first book. I know you don't have to, but I just like doing that. A gym nemesis pushes a fitness influencer to the max in Amy Leah's steamy debut romantic comedy. Sounds fun. Hopefully I enjoy it. I'm a sucker for just like interesting careers and jobs that main characters in romances have. I don't know why, but it's just something I discovered that I really enjoy. So I'm excited to give this one a read. And then I was so excited to see this. Oh, I forgot to put that back. I was so excited to see this at the used bookstore because I have been wanting to read this for quite some time, and I really wanted a hardcover, and they had a hardcover, and I was just over the moon. This is The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk. I have read from C.L. Polk before, but not like a full-length novel. I've read a short story and a novella from them, but not an actual full-length novel. And I've just heard so many good things about this, and I recently heard someone compare this to The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, which is one of my favorite books of all time. And so I'm like, if it's just a little bit like that at all, I am probably going to love it. And so I do really enjoy C.L. Polk's writing. I like her character work especially, so I'm very excited to give this one a read and see how it goes. A sweeping romantic fantasy about a sorceress who must balance her desire to become the first great female magician against her duty to her family. Yes, yes, absolutely. Love the cover of this. I think it's absolutely stunning. I cannot wait to read this. I'm gonna be reading this sooner rather than later. That's for sure. And I also picked up another one. This came out at the end of 2023, I believe. This is The Kingdom of Sweets by Erica Johansson. So this one is from the author of The Queen of the Tearling, which that series is a series that I loved, except for the third book. I feel like I always say that every time I talk about it. The third book disappointed me. But other than that, I really enjoy her writing, and so I was very excited. I was hoping to read this in December because it is a Nutcracker retelling. It's a standalone fantasy, which is always something we need more of as fantasy readers. But now I feel like I have to wait until next Christmas. I might do that. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. It feels Christmassy to me. I'm gonna have to save it for Christmas, but I'm very excited to have it now. And then I found this, which is not a book that I ever heard of before, but it just looked so intriguing. First of all, obviously, the beautifulness of this cover really pulled me in. I don't know if this is one that had a dust jacket or if it just came like this, but it's one that was published in the UK. It is a former library book. You can see from the top there the stamp on it, but it's still in such good condition that I didn't really care about that. End papers are gorgeous. It also has just gorgeous artwork throughout the book. And so because of that, I was very interested, and then I read the first page and I was like, yes, I think this is going to be absolutely beautiful. I think it's more like vibes and less plot, which is another thing that I really love, and it seems to just be this fairy tale, this adult fairy, it says a modern fairy tale of love, loss, and revenge. Absolutely. I'm very excited to have this and to give it a read. It's a nice short one as well, so if I decide, which I haven't decided whether I'm going to do it yet or not, but if I decide to do my 30 book and 30-day challenge this year, this will be a good one for that. So I got that. And then this is another one that I have been looking for years now. This is Bloody Rose by Nicholas Eames. This is the second book in the Banned series, the first one being, what was it called? Oh my god, wait, hold on. Oh, Kings of the Wild. Kings of the Wild, which I absolutely loved. It was just so funny. It was so much fun, and I don't know if this is going to be the same vibe. I feel like this is probably going to have a different tone because we're not following old men past their prime trying to get back in the game. This is the daughter of one of those men from the first book. So I feel like this is probably going to have a different tone, but I'm hoping for the same humor as the first book. So we'll see how it goes. Let me know if you've read Bloody Rose and what you thought of it compared to the first book, but I am excited to give it a read. And I've been like looking for it for so long because I didn't want to get a full price copy. Another book that I picked up at the used bookstore is The God of Endings by Jacqueline Holland. I've heard good things about this. I'm always interested in reading books following immortals, whether they be vampires or just any kind of immortal. There's so much to be said about living forever and watching all of the people around you age and die while you don't. Like, it just makes for some really good conversations. And so I'm excited to read this one because I've heard really good things about it. The only thing that I'm really mad at is that I opened the book and I saw this, and my camera's washing it out, but this is a letter from the publisher to the Barnes & Noble bookseller, which means that this book was a staff copy, which means this book should not have been sold. Sometimes we get finished copies of books that are staff copies that are free for us to take home to read, but those books should not be sold. And so I felt some type of way about that. Like, which Barnes & Noble employee did that? I want to know. You're not supposed to do that. But anyway, I bought it anyway. The God of Endings. Very excited to give it a read. I've heard amazing things. It says, by turns suspenseful and enchanting, this astonishing first novel weaves a story of love, family, history, and myth as seen through the eyes of one immortal woman. This I bought on a whim. Listen, I don't know why. I don't know why. Am I gonna enjoy this? I have no idea. I've never heard of this book. I've never seen this book, but the cover is just so disturbing that it drew me to it. I mean, look at the cover. Is that not like a freakish, disturbing cover? And it was just giving me unhinged woman vibes, and I love a good unhinged woman. You know what I mean? This is called Liar Mouth. Did I say that? A feel-bad romance by John Waters. John Waters is apparently a filmmaker. The synopsis, very brief, very vague. Have no idea what's going on in this book, but I am so excited to read it. Like, it could be horrible. It could be absolutely horrible, or it could be some kind of weird hidden gem. But I know for sure that it's gonna be weird. That's what it seems like. And it's only 240 pages. Let me know if you've heard of this, if you've seen it, if you've read it even, and what you thought. But there was just something calling to me about it, and I just had to pick it up. So I did. This last book, I also got at the used bookstore, and this is the Fairy Loot. Is it the Fairy Loot edition? Yeah, this is the Fairy Loot edition of The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. Every single time I have gone into the used bookstore in the past few months, I've picked up this book and haven't bought it. I pick it up, I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's so pretty, it seems interesting, and then I put it back down. I even have gone so far as to like start reading the first few pages and then I put it down. And it's not because I'm not interested in it, it's because it's this beautiful Fairy Loot edition and it's a little bit more pricey. And usually I've been seeing the same copy over and over again for $40, and I'm like, I don't want to spend $40 on it. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, and I keep putting it back. This time I go into the bookstore, I pick it up yet again, and I look at the price and it's $25. And I'm like, oh, okay. So either this was a different copy or they reduced the price. And I was like, okay, now is the time. Was it even 25? I don't think it was 25. I think it was just like $20. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. Like that's reasonable. So I'm excited about this. This is kind of like a 1001 Nights retelling, Aladdin-esque. It says, inspired by stories from 1001 Nights, the Stardust Thief weaves the gripping tale of a legendary smuggler, a cowardly prince, and a dangerous quest across the desert to find a magical lamp. You guys know I love desert fantasy. I love Middle Eastern and North African inspired fantasy. I am very excited to give this one a read. I haven't heard much about this, but it has been intriguing me for quite some time. So I'm excited to finally have a copy, especially such a beautiful copy. Look at these lavender sprayed edges. Ah, I just love it. I think this book is beautiful. Here are beautiful end pages on the front and on the back, and I'm sure it's also signed, of course. And I think like this looks like it's actually physically signed instead of a digital signature, which is nice. And the naked hardcover is of course absolutely stunning. Look at all that foil. Very, very beautiful. What does the back say? Neither here nor there, but long ago. Oh, I love that. It's, if you don't know, that is a common fairy tale start, just like Once Upon a Time. And oh man, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to read this. Hopefully I really enjoy it. And then speaking of Fairy Loot, I do have my January and February Fairy Loot books. But before we get into that, I have one more book that I bought used. This is The Broken Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is the second book in the Inheritance trilogy. I read the first book, loved it. I'm very excited to talk about it again in a wrap up. I had a great time with it. It was kind of up and down, but mostly up. Mostly up. So I definitely want to continue on with the series, which I'm going to be doing in March, probably. So I have the second book so that I can do that. The way that first book made me feel, I am very excited to continue on in the series. So I got that. Okay, so now let's talk about my 2 fairy loot books. We'll start with January's. This is The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers, which is an absolutely stunning book. It says curses are made to be broken. I don't know much about this one. I don't want to look into it too much because I think I'm going to start reading it pretty soon. But look at these sprayed edges. Oh my goodness, so beautiful, and they go all the way around. Love it. The art print here with the author letter on the back and stunning end pages. Oh my goodness. So I'm excited to see kind of what she does with that in here, but it just seems like it's going to be really atmospheric. This is the naked hardcover, which isn't my favorite that Fairy Loot has done, but it's still really pretty and I like it. And then we have a reversible dust jacket that looks like this, which is closer to the original cover, but a different color, and I actually really like that, but I like this better, let's be honest. But we're following some kind of curse. Like, that's literally all I know. I don't want to read the synopsis because, again, I'm pretty sure I'm going to read this in March, and you know how I feel about synopses. Don't like to read them. So there's that one. And then the February book was a fantasy romance, Viking inspired fantasy romance called A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This will be my first Danielle L. Jensen. I've heard so many good things about this author in general for years now. I've been hearing amazing things about this author, and I've just never picked up one of her books, although I've been very intrigued and wanted to pick up one of her books. I just never got around to it. But now I have this one. So I will be starting here. Hopefully this is a good place to start. But all I know about it is that it is a Viking inspired romantasy. I love, 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 love these sprayed edges. So cool. And end pages on the front, on the back, and then the naked hardcover looks like this and is quite stunning. Quite stunning. Very excited to give this one a read. Like I said, always looking for a good fantasy romance. Definitely been craving that. That is my book haul. Quite a lot of books have been purchased. Hopefully next month's book haul will be much smaller. I say that now, but probably not going to be. I am who I am. I like to buy books. But talk to me down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Have you read any of these? Did you enjoy them? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. If you want to let me know you were here but you don't have anything to say, leave me a vampire emoji or a moon emoji for Bride by Allie Hazelwood. And I will catch you in my next video. Bye guys.